they were wrestling around on the floor, and I think that's when the first actual round was discharged.
It was a crime in Laurel County that at the time police said they had a lot of questions about. Now they say some of those have been answered with the arrest of 2 people on attempted murder and robbery charges.
A Lexington nurse faces charges tonight after police say she stole medication from her patients.
Firefighters in eastern Kentucky trying to figure out what started a fire that killed a woman overnight.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. Police are calling it a robbery and an attempted murder. Tonight we're learning some new details about a shooting in southern Kentucky that sent 2 people to the hospital last week.
It happened on Hazel Patch Road in Laurel County. Deputies say the homeowner and one of the intruders were injured in the shootout. Today, Phil Pendleton talked to deputies about what happened during the crossfire. He has our top story at 5:30.
This is the vehicle that the suspects used.
Part of the evidence in what police believe clearly was a crime.
And we know for sure that he drove this vehicle to the Somerset Hospital with his wounded accomplice.
But police say Caleb McKitty first drove this beat-up Honda to Pamela Newcomb's home in Laurel County with Eddie Eversole with him.
We believe by our investigation that these 2 subjects went to the residence armed with a weapon.
Once inside Newcomb's home, there was a fight.
And they were wrestling around on the floor, and I think that's when the first actual round was discharged.
When the smoke cleared, police say Newcomb had a serious stomach wound and Eversole was also shot. McKitty and Eversole got away, with Eversole then turning up later at a Somerset hospital more than 30 miles away.
Why would you drive past a hospital in the county that you're shot and go to the neighboring county? We have to think that you do that because you don't want anybody to know that you've been shot and that there was a shooting over in another county.
Eversole was eventually released from UK hospital, where Newcomb remains in critical condition. Both men were arrested Wednesday, with police looking at evidence from both men and from inside this car.
Blood from one of the subjects that was involved in the shooting. There's all kinds of evidence that we can retrieve from a motor vehicle that's involved in a crime.
In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Both Eversole and McKitty are charged with robbery and attempted murder. We've just learned of a 3rd arrest. 20-year-old Kyle Wilson of Corbin also faces charges in this case.
Police say the 2 men impersonated federal agents to commit a home invasion. It happened at Shiloh Park Apartments in Lexington overnight. Police say the men claimed to be drug enforcement agents before forcing their way inside. We're told that they tied up 2 people with zip ties and then took off with a stolen shotgun and cash. People living in the area say they're concerned about safety in the neighborhood.
They interrupt our security. They make me afraid to live here. They make me want to pull out extra measures, lock my doors and my windows, and neighborhood watch, and just it's scary because my son he won't know what he's walking into if something like that happens.
Police arrested the 2 men, but at this time they are not releasing their names or the charges. Police tell us they think the crime was drug-related.
She is accused of taking medication from her patients. Tonight, a Lexington nurse faces theft charges. Police say Donna Doty was working at the Richmond Place Rehabilitation and Healthcare Center on Palumbo Drive when she stole the medication. But as Victor Puente found out, this isn't the first time she's faced drug-related charges. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
Lexington police tell us that nurse was taking medication meant for patients. This isn't the first time she's been charged with a crime connected to oxycodone. Police say 42-year-old Donna Doty was working as a nurse at the Richmond Place Rehabilitation and Healthcare Center on Palumbo Drive when she began taking pills that were supposed to go to the seniors receiving treatment there. They say she took oxycodone and other medication meant for patients and tampered with medical records. Police say she was put there by a staffing agency. Doty was cited on February 24th with theft by unlawful taking of a controlled substance. This picture is from her arrest last September in Irvin for trafficking and possession of a controlled substance. Police there say she sold half an oxycodone to a confidential informant. They also say they found half of a Suboxone pill in her pack of cigarettes. That case has a pretrial conference scheduled for June. I spoke to the people at the staffing agency that police say placed Donna Doty here. They told me several times that they had never heard of anyone by that name. They said they'd be on the lookout just in case. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
We contacted the company that runs Richmond Place. They said they would call us back with a statement, but so far they have not. Well, we have certainly been enjoying this beautiful weather. It is hard to believe that this time last week we were dealing with 17 inches of snow, some people more.
I know. Enjoy the beautiful weather, though, while you can, because rain's on the way. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell is tracking that. Jim, what's the latest?
Looks like we'll have a big push of moisture come into the area during the overnight hours tonight, and it's not snowy moisture, as you could imagine. We have a lot of rain coming our way over the next couple of days. Looking outside right now, you see those clouds there in the distance? Well, those are being fed in here from our next system, that system that's now taking shape across the Gulf of Mexico, spreading the moisture toward us. Remember, clouds, they are moisture, and we'll have those increase as we go through the overnight and into the day tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll have some rain falling from them. We're getting a wind out of the east-northeast at 17 miles per hour. Temperatures outside right now 63 here in Lexington. Our flood watch covers up central Kentucky. Chunk of southern and eastern Kentucky not included in on this, because that's going to be the zone that sees some of the lighter amounts from this rainmaker that comes rolling across Kentucky. As we look ahead to our heavy rain and flood threat, we look at creeks, we look at rivers, and we look at the impact of will it be a major event. And major event, no. Those low-lying, familiar places that get in on some of the high water, that's going to be the location you'll see more and more issues with. So when the creeks and rivers, or the creeks start to swell, feed into some of those rivers, we'll see maybe an increase there as well. 1 to 3 inches possible between tomorrow and into Saturday, and I will track that into our area hour by hour coming up in a few minutes.
A woman is dead tonight after a fire burned down her eastern Kentucky home. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Johnson County. The fire started about 2 this morning off US 23 in the Lomansville community of Johnson County. The victim identified as 49-year-old Elena Moore. Firefighters tell us when they arrived at the scene, the home was engulfed.
It was just a really intense fire, very hot, and the problem with mobile homes is they have a single piece metal roof that causes a lot of the heat to stay trapped as opposed to burn on through the way a shingle roof would burn.
Family members tell us she leaves behind 4 children. Investigators say at this time they do not suspect foul play. In Clark County, a woman accused of trying to kill her newborn faced a judge today. A grand jury indicted Cassandra Haney on charges of attempted murder and tampering with physical evidence. Police say back in January she gave birth in a toilet, then put the baby in a plastic bag at her Winchester home. Police say her roommate saw what happened and called for help. The baby did survive. And in Magoffin County, crews are breaking ground today on the second phase of the Mountain Parkway expansion project. In this phase of the project, it will widen about a mile of the parkway and make improvements to the Salyersville interchange. There are 3 phases total, and the project will widen the parkway by about 6 miles.
State highway workers were out on the roads in Lexington today patching up potholes. Today their focus is on major highways leading in and out of Lexington. Tonight between 6 and midnight the focus will be on New Circle Road and Interstate 64 and 75. State highway crews say pothole work will continue Monday through Friday until further notice.
We are answering 2 good questions tonight, both weather-related. The first one coming after that brutal stretch of snow and ice here in the Bluegrass. Steve of Winchester is asking, when we have all of this snow and ice, what do the WKYT anchors and reporter weathermen do as far as trying to get to the station? Do you all drive 4-wheel drive vehicles? How do you get there, and how come you can do that when no one else can get out of their driveways? Well, Steve, some of us do have 4-wheel vehicles. There's Phil Pendleton and his son Connor. It came in handy during the deep snow last week. When your job is to report on the snow, you just find a way to get to the station. And some of our newsroom staff also stays at a nearby hotel just to make sure that they can make it into work. A story this important demands that everyone be at work no matter what the conditions are. So there you have that. Our second good question tonight from Tim in Mount Vernon. When talking about the weather, why is Kentucky called Ohio Valley? Why not just Kentucky? Well, I asked Jim Caldwell, sitting over there. When our meteorologists use the term Ohio Valley, they are often referring to 2 states, southern Ohio from Columbus south and Kentucky. They're really talking about a region versus 1 state. If you have a good question, go to WKYT.com.
It is known as one of the deadliest drunk driving crashes in U.S. history. The Carrollton bus crash left 27 people dead, most of them teenagers. Today, one of the survivors from the crash talked to a group of Scott County students. And as Rebecca Smith tells us, his message is to raise awareness about the dangers of drunk driving.
I was in the nation's worst drunk driving crash in history. Killed 27 people. 3 adults and 24 children.
Almost 27 years later, Carrollton bus crash survivor Quentin Higgins says it's impossible to put the events of May 14, 1988 in the rear view. He tried to for years. When he turned 33, that all changed.
I never wanted to think about it. And when I got saved, God wanted to use it. And I started having these memories and emotions.
Now, a bus driver himself, he offers his story as a tool.
I knew the bus was on fire.
A tale of survival from when he was just a 15-year-old student, like many other ones at Royal Spring Middle School.
This is still scary and new to me. And what most people don't know is I'm a Christian, and I listen to what God tells me to do, and He uses our testimony.
Some staff members have their own personal ties to the story. Angela Fraley is from Hardin County and went to school with some of the survivors.
To have such a tragedy happen early on, I got to see firsthand what would happen. So absolutely, I think it made me, make good choices.
Someone that's going to hear our story will think when they get put in these positions.
In Scott County, Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
Pretty incredible. Higgins put and bought that bus himself and then put all of that together for those kids. Very powerful. By the way, Larry Mahoney, the drunk driver, spent 10 years in prison for DUI.